Hey there, I'm making this quick video about the recent world events that we've seen and the Mercury-Mars conjunction in the sky. Have you noticed the kind of individual against the society or the culture that has been prevalent in the last week or so since Mercury-Mars joined in Aquarius? And, you know, if you don't notice it this way, let me give you a couple examples. Number one, especially in the news, here in the U.S., we've had this, this sort of bad cop gone awry who has been sort of terrorizing the police force that he used to work in, you know, and this is very much Aquarius kind of stuff. The culture that we've been involved in, you know, you have to extend the understanding of astrology signs and indications to mean more than, like, you know, politics or society, quote, in general, or, you know, causes that we believe in or causes that we're willing to fight for. That's really what Aquarius is about. It's ruled by Saturn, which is things that are enduring, like structures and institutions, and the philosophies they represent to us. So a person, like, for instance, who is a police officer, they're going to be dedicated to the culture, like, of the police force. That's going to be very much an Aquarius connection to them. I've seen a couple. It's very strange, you know, as an astrologer, I am certainly connected to the astrology community, so to speak, and I've seen 2 or 3 major, like, blow-ups and really hard to figure, like, arguments and breaks of connection between people in the astrology community, even involved around projects and stuff. It doesn't go well, so someone asserts and breaks off their connection. Most recently here, we've had Pope Benedict. Of course, he's a pope, so he's part of the Christian culture, the Catholic institution and culture, and he asserted his individuality, and you wouldn't say necessarily that he rebelled against it. It's not always this rebellion or this anger or this kind of you know, militant break, like, you know, the guy who is hunting down the LA cops, or the other situation that I mentioned where there was an argument. Sometimes it's just we assert our individuality and take care of our own, like, you know, take care of our own separate individual needs, which is what Mars does, in spite of the wishes of the collective or of the culture, which is at least the rhetoric of why the Pope is resigning, you know, because it's unprecedented. It's something that hasn't happened in, you know, 600 years. Mercury, Mars in Aquarius. And again, Mercury is about communication, ideas, and Mars is about actions and the power of the individual. And like I said a couple weeks ago, the thing about this Mercury-Mars is they have different agendas. And so it certainly accounts for the LA cop conflict, where apparently what happened is a few years ago he reported a case of police brutality, and then he lost his job, and you know, now years later he's exacting revenge upon that culture, but again over these ideas. What he had to offer, what he had to communicate, was not received or appreciated, and so now he's obviously going pretty far with it. Other instances that I've seen with some public, actually they're quite public, sort of falling out, has to do with people communicating something that's not appreciated, and then, you know, something happens, and then people, you know, get sort of heated and break connection from the product as a result. And then, of course, you know, with the Pope, who knows the deeper meaning about what has actually been communicated by him, or that he wishes he could communicate but is not, his message or his values and his you know, what he wants to communicate is not resonating with the culture, or he feels, it seems like he just feels a sort of maybe sort of recognition that what he wishes to communicate is out of sync with the culture. And it kind of is. I mean, he's been quite a throwback. And there's also, I mean, obviously it's bringing up now a lot of scandals that have rocked the Catholic Church since Benedict has been the Pope, which have to do with sex scandals and his time as a cardinal hiding, this very despicable activity. And I also wonder how you feel. Are you experiencing some feeling of disconnect from your community and the need to really express it with more strength and authority and courage? Like everything, I will tell you, for me personally, I've actually been experiencing enormous growth. It always has to do with how these things fall from your ascendant and the cycles you're in and whatnot. But it also brings into question your connection with those energies. Like, for instance, your natal Mercury and how much skill and wisdom you have with Mercury energy, Mars energy, Aquarius, is going to determine whether or not you're more on the higher end or the lower end of it. Because Mercury Mars also brings together the courage to form powerful alliances based on your principles and your ideas as well. It can go either way. And so, like for me, I've had a lot of things in that area. It's been more beneficial. I just taught a great course over the weekend with my students, and building community is a big part of what this transit has been about. And it's continuing with a couple great opportunities that have come my way since that transit happened. But it's also, there's the need to face some of my own, maybe limiting patterns or limiting ideas, and to sort of be stretched beyond that and whatnot. So it doesn't always mean that there's going to be difficulty, but it certainly can show that. Oh, there's another example too, as North Korea just asserted its, self as a country by communicating something like, it seems like they just had another nuclear test as well, which again is somewhat at odds with the international community. And they've also really stepped up their rhetoric about being, at war with the U.S. and things like that, this is serious stuff. In the web class that I did last year, anticipating Saturn and Rahu's conjunction in Libra, I talked about 3 countries whose karma was deeply tied to this transit. They were the United States, Israel, Iran, and North Korea. And I said North Korea was going to have some major karma coming up, and we're seeing it. You can check out that webinar. I would recommend you look at it. It's free. You have to register for it, but it shows the charts of these countries and this transit and the trend of Saturn and Rahu in Libra for the next couple years. By the way, I'm now doing some readings that will let you, where I look at your chart and assess the Saturn-Rahu transit that's going to be going on for the next year and a half, and also Jupiter and Jupiter's aspect on that transit this summer, the summer of 2013. 2013 into 2014, of course, it's big stuff, and we can see, because we know astrology and we know the timing, how this pressure is going to really express itself in your chart. So if you want me to look at that, go ahead and get the 30-minute assessment, and I'll talk about your chart for 30 minutes and how the Saturn-Rahu transit and the Jupiter aspect through 2014, the middle end of 2014, is going to influence you. But beyond that, leave me some comments and some questions or some insight into how you're experiencing this Mercury-Mars conjunction in Aquarius, how your individual ideas are being received by the collective, how much you're having to fight for them, how much you have to adjust to the will of the consensus, how aggravated you might feel as a result, and things like that. Try not to destroy these alliances. Try to preserve these alliances, and instead really reflect upon your need to assert yourself and make sure that it's just and that it's justified. So anyway, I hope you're doing well.